I'm Susan Wolski, the chair of the Orange County Industrial Development Agency Accelerator Committee. I'm calling the meeting to order. It is now 5:32 p.m.
Should we start with the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah, can we all rise to the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As chairwoman, I could start with the roll call.
Yes, please.
Okay, Dean Tamburri.
Here.
Susan Wolski.
Here.
Vincent Odock.
Here.
Right. Those are our board member committee members that are present. We also have myself, Bill Fioravanti, CEO of the IDA staff, Kelly Riley, our project manager. We have Dean Brady from 88 Studios, who's handling our audio visual, and no other consultants on this right now. So if we can we roll right into the agenda?
Let's go.
Terrific. All right. This is going to be an efficient meeting because, of course, we're mostly out of the accelerator business. We've been closing sites over the last 12 months. I'll just go through them just as a recap for you and for the general public. First of all, we closed the City of Newburgh site a couple of years ago, June now. It wasn't full. We were overpaying. The landlords are good people. They accepted it when we pulled out. There hasn't been any retribution, so to speak. I did get a couple of complaints from the legislature, and I think a board member mentioned to me asking about signage that showed the accelerator on that City of Newburgh Broadway location. I will say that we called the landlord. We made a few requests. They said they were going to do it, then they didn't. I called someone different in their group, and they removed the window signage and stuff. I see that the sign is still on the post sign kind of. So we've asked them if they'd go do that as well. As you know, Dean, I shared with you there was kind of, lack of a better term, a threat of charging us for it. And I mean, our response was, all right, that's what you got to do, then charge us. But we want the signage down because It still seems as though we have a presence there.
I do have a question or maybe explanation. Now, the accelerator on Broadway, the one you're talking about.
Correct.
And I went there a couple of times, and it seems they were doing very well. I don't know what happened.
Right. I remember you did a tour. With all due respect, Doctor, you were a part of a couple of tours that were done with county legislators, with IDA board members, with the county executive, that were really, for the lack of a better term, dog and pony shows. We know from speaking, Kelly and I, from dealing with all the accelerator tenants, subtenants, or clients, that they would be called by Vinnie Cozzolino saying, we have government officials coming through. I need you to do this, that, and the other. Here's how I want you to answer this question. Here's what I want you to focus on. Please imply that you're growing and adding jobs, even if you're not. Right, Kelly? This was all part of the scheme, frankly. So, and look, they had some of these tenants. I enjoyed getting to know them. Some of them are very hardworking entrepreneurs that are really trying to make a go of it, and most of them, I'm thinking about the ones in Newburgh, particularly, they have other jobs, and then they have their day jobs, and they come to try and craft their dream really with this. So they were very honest in that they did feel uncomfortable a lot of the times that they were being asked to say certain things or kind of imply that something was going on, but they did it. They also they were getting inexpensive rent. They were promised a lot of support, most of which did not happen. I mean, many tenants told us that they got more support from us in our short time than they ever did. And I'm not looking to pat ourselves on the back. It's just, we did treat them with respect, with dignity. That's something I've always wanted the board to know and be confident that we've done that, even though we have the harsh job of saying we're closing up shop and you have to find, space elsewhere. We gave them a lot of support, but my point was, they had inexpensive rent and they were promised other support. So they went along with it. They did it. They said, say this or focus on this when someone comes through, do it. And they were uncomfortable. They were nervous, but they did it to comply. So it was none of the sites were what they ever seen. They weren't. I've been to a number of events where open houses, Middletown is another one, jam-packed full. It's never how it truly was. So with Newburgh, that was the first site that we shut down. We worked closely trying to work with those tenants. We didn't want to just put them out. I explained to every accelerator tenant, look, my past job was trying to find space for businesses in Orange County. So I said, as long as you're looking in Orange County, you've got my support, the Orange County Partnership, municipal leaders, whoever the heck we could recruit to lend a hand, we would do that. We did. We did have, unfortunately, one of the things I've reported over the last couple of years, and will continue to, it'll show up in our audit as well, we have to write off a lot of bad debt for rent that's owed to us, that, especially the way everything crumbled. You know, we had a number of clients that owed us a lot of back rent. One was an apparel manufacturer remember, fashion manufacturing was the theme of the Middletown site, right? You had a shoemaker there. Newburgh, I'm sorry, Newburgh site, thank you. Well, we had one that was encouraged during COVID, during the outbreak of COVID initially, to pivot their operations and in making a major investment into N95 mask manufacturing. And I believe she invested about a $600,000 investment in the machinery. And then the landlord, our landlord there, built out the space for this mask manufacturing room at, I don't want to say their expense. The subtenant was supposed to pay them for that. They owe them a lot of money. They owe us a lot of back rent. And, you know, we've tried to collect. It's kind of blood from a stone to a degree with some of them. A lot of these are struggling small businesses.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that, we also visited some of the other ones in New Windsor to see if they could, we actually try to have local businesses look at that. Maybe they could, you know, work with them and expand and maybe move them to one of the Newburgh locations and consolidate a lot of the different accelerators. Because again, like Bill had said, they're good people, and of course we want them to succeed in Orange County. And some of it they were not ready for that, and it would take who knows how much more investment. And we just at this point don't think that that's going forward is something we're.
And the reality is 9 out of 10 small businesses fail.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
It's a tough proposition, period. So in Newburgh, we had a couple struggling tenants. There are still a couple that are really trying to make it and stayed there. And our landlord there, B4 Holdings, but it's the Bloomer family. They own both 603 and 605 Broadway, which we are inhabiting and have subtenants in. They've taken in some of our orphaned tenants, the ones that were there, and then back to New Windsor, which we closed in May and in end of May and then end of July, or June and July. June and July. We closed those. That's where Dean was saying, Mike Torelli, Dean, we had some meetings over there where we're trying to learn about these businesses, what were their needs. And one of the interesting ideas that came out of that, I think it was Mike's idea, was for us to consider some existing businesses, maybe larger manufacturers that would consider maybe bringing the client in and giving them a little manufacturing space to kind of, chaperone them, mentor them, guide them, all of that, with the hopes that maybe if there's some sort of synergy between their businesses. I think I had about 4 meetings with local companies to consider doing that. And I give them a lot of credit that they were open to it. And they really considered it. I was a little frustrated with one of the clients who didn't bother to thank them for any of that. I was kind of encouraging, please thank them for even, looking at it like this. And that was one thing that kind of frustrated me. But beyond that, that's another example where we went above and beyond trying to find some sort of additional resource or get an existing business to kind of, take them under their wing. So we tried that. That wasn't successful, but I promise you we tried. One of the main company we helped with that was the lighting company, Dean. They ended up back at 605 Broadway as a direct tenant under the Bloomer. So they have a home, they're staying there, and they are working. Back in New Windsor, again, we closed those in June and July of last year. We had the one tenant, Mello, who did purchase some of our equipment. It took us a long time to get the money for that. For some reason, he was kind of playing games with us there, but we settled with him. And then we had Secco, the silkscreen company. They wanted to stay there, so we helped coordinate with the town of New Windsor so that they could negotiate and end up staying there, and they're still there. How long they stay there, I'm not sure. The town did kind of give us the impression that they're looking to get out of the accelerator business as well, that it may not be long-term either. So we're going to get into this from the county attorney, perhaps. Mr. Golden, how are you?
I'm doing fine. I followed up in an email to yours.
Okay, terrific.
So just let me know if you know something that I don't.
I appreciate that. Thanks very much.
Right.
Thank you, Ray.
No
Take care.
problem.
Not at all.
You have a good night.
Bye-bye. He's been great support in the time there as well. So actually, I think that's related to the audit. So we've just been kind of pressing people and make sure they give their responses to the audit. So back in New Windsor, again, SECO is still there. How long they'll be there is between them and the town, of course, but we're out of that. And then the last closure was the city of Middletown, at the Toro Medical College location. And our lease expired there around Thanksgiving. And we've been out of there. And that was one that, especially after the New Windsor experience, we made sure we got ahead of that. We warned everyone that we'll be closing, we're not going to renew our lease. Again, we offered to help find them space. We did work with a few of them. Many of them left. They again, struggling businesses. There wasn't much. They're just going to kind of do what they can out of their homes. Go to the code. They did relocate. They should have kind of a garage space. And, you know, frankly, a lot of them were shocked when they actually had to go out there and look in the commercial market and rent space. They had even greater appreciation for the discounted rent that they were getting. Because I don't know if they had full appreciation until they had to go see the market and see just what a steep discount they were getting. But they all landed on their feet, right? Everyone from Stephanie, everything. They were pleased there. We are still waiting for our release letter from Middletown because they actually disputed. They thought we hadn't paid a month rent. Kelly gave them a full accounting of it. We never heard back again.
That's the group, right?
Correct. So we're still waiting for that.
We had to get a copy machine out of there as well.
Correct, and they were accommodating with that. They were. So those are the three that we've closed over the last year. And then, of course, we still have the Warwick location. When he was chairman, Michael Torelli and I had a meeting with Michael Sweet, the town supervisor in Warwick. And Michael was pleading his case that the town didn't want to run it, first of all. And that, of course, because we don't pay any rent there. That was the main reason we're getting out of here, is we're saving millions from our budget for not running the operations of the accelerator. But Warwick, we pay $1 over the entire terminal lease. I think it's a 5-year lease, pay $1. So it doesn't cost us anything in that regard. We do recoup rent from our subtenants. And then we incur charges for maintenance, pest control, locksmith, exactly, all that kind of stuff. However, we discovered last year, the year before, within their leases, it actually clearly states that we are to charge back all of the cans. I think they had a couple of years, or at least a year, they weren't there that long, where they didn't have to do that, but we did charge them last year. A little, grumbling, but we made it clear, and again, we're not mean about it. We're very kind and understanding, but we said, look, these are the terms. So we have been charging back any of the anything and everything. Again, pest control, utilities, maintenance, whatever it might be, we're charging that back to the clients based upon their respective square footage. What is the percentage of the total? They pay their share of the common areas, as well as a result of that.
So, no, how much longer do we have on the lease with Warwick?
That's a great question.
I mean, I don't know exactly, but I'm guessing we have at least another 2 years plus.
I think it is like that. We didn't sign it too long ago.
That's the sheet I wanted to bring. The one you guys had with all that
Right.
information on it. But then I left the office. But so really then Warwick really isn't. I mean, we're just kind of. Why are we even so we're paying?
We're a middle person, really.
We're just a middle.
And I call the supervisor with every issue anyway. So now Michael Sweeten, we did, promise to him that for the foreseeable future, and that was well over a year ago that we committed that. He is retiring. I don't mean to take advantage of it, but I do feel like it's like a new starting point. And I think it's an opportunity. And this was Michael Sweeten's baby, and he helped see it through, especially the whole Warwick Park that we invested. Of course, we give him a lot of credit for the vision behind that. But with a new supervisor, I do think we have the opportunity to kind of reset that and just say conditions have changed. I mean, the environment's changed. The agency has changed. We'd like to have the town just remove ourselves from the process, I think, if the board agrees. And I just wanted to raise that.
I mean, just personal opinion is it takes your time and talent and the staff's time and talent to do this. And if we're just a funnel of here's the bill, pay the bill,
Right.
Why would we waste our time and talent on that?
It just doesn't really fit with our mission right now, what our focus is. It just isn't. It's a nice add-on to the story about the Warwick Tech Park and the IDA's vision and foresight investment and all of that. We did that News 12 story, and I think I told you all that it was really geared around the IDA's investment, just trying to be a positive story about the things that we do that are meaningful in that regard. And Michael Sweeten, in his interviews, he talked about the IDA over and over. I talked about, again, our investment in that park and Green Thumb coming up and all of that. Then at the very end, we are near the Manor House where the accelerator location is. And they said, what is this? And I explained, and she said, well, can you give us a couple comments on that? And of course, the only soundbite of mine that they included was about the accelerator. It was the last thing I frankly wanted to, underscore. I wanted to talk about the rest of the park and such. But they cut that, and they didn't talk much about the IDA. They saw the story. I understand. Blaise Gomez saw the story as former prison, converting to cannabis and CBD, and the irony around that and everything, and that's what it was. But anyway, certainly the respect and the appreciation from the town is there for what we did, and I don't think it would be that difficult for them to understand and accept why we want to kind of.
Yeah, they have a nice little complex down there.
We do. And we've done a lot. It's not like we charged them interest or they're paying us for it. We did it. We got our money back, thankfully. We're, of course, pleased and proud, and I think celebrating. I'm trying to celebrate the work that we did do there, but I think we could,
Time for much bigger and better things.
That's it. That's the whole idea of the Shovel Ready program, is to look at other locations and perhaps make some investments and help bring it, attract a great project there. And that too, divest ourselves of that and then go work on something else. So that's the idea. But I wanted to lay the groundwork, begin the discussion about letting Warwick go, what the timing is. Do we wait till the supervisor retires? Do we have a discussion with him in advance? How do we approach it with our subtenants there? I'm not saying we sort it all right now, but I wanted to address where we stand with
I
Warwick.
would think, for Mike Sweeten, and he's a great guy, this has been a really big feather in his cap.
Yes.
I would say let's wait until we get a new supervisor in there and then feel them out.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. I digress to the gentleman.
Sure. You gentlemen have any thoughts based on what I told you, or any other questions that I can answer on that? About Warwick?
I've met him, Mike, Sweden.
Yes.
And he's passionate with what he was doing there.
For sure. For sure.
So I mean, but for us so his term would end at this, what is the?
I think at the end of this calendar year is my
End of
understanding.
the calendar.
Yeah, someone will be voted in November, but his term would end at December 31st.
I mean, I think we should try to wrap it up, but I just think the way things have gone and contract is probably going to be the end of the lease at this point.
Yeah.
We'll probably, by the time we redo all the contracts for the dial and then this and switch it, and who knows? I mean, it would be nice just to clean it up. I agree.
Yeah, I just don't know. We don't know unless they have a conversation with the supervisor whether he would let it go before his term. I'm just thinking somebody else gets in there and they may have a different mindset and they may be easier to deal with as far as taking it over. Because Warwick Lang says they don't want to be responsible for it, though.
Right. Exactly. So I'm trying to think of how we just move through this. You're suggesting that in his term, I did confirm it's the end of this calendar year. So in the fall, some notes will be running. I think it's talk about Jesse Dwyer, the mayor of Greenwood Lake, running for that. So we're talking the fall, and again, it won't be until the end of the year. You're saying wait for his term to expire before we
If you
address
want
it
to
with the
start
town?
talking to the person who is going to be running, to start feeling them out, by the end of next month, you should know who the candidates are,
Right.
because they're circulating petitions right now, and then feel them out. This way you still have a couple of months to play with Mike Sweeten if you need to.
Sure. Okay.
I would let him know what you're looking to do.
Right.
This is the last one.
Just be upfront about it.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. I'm going to keep the board posted on that.
Yeah.
As I said, I think the last board meeting, Warwick is generally very easy to deal with until we closed all the other sites, and then they became a problem child. Obviously, they're the problem child.
They are the other
children,
child.
but they became problematic. So there was, again, all of a sudden there was a locksmith, requirement that we, had to change locks. Again, pests, there all of a sudden, rodents really in the place. There was a heating problem where the heating was punctured, the system was punctured, so all of a sudden there was a huge loss, and they were first throwing around numbers like, thousands of dollars to be repaired, and we may have to contribute to that. We were ready to kind of push back there. That ended up being kind of resolved. Nebraska kind of helped us out there, but for the most part, electrical problems. I know it's been one thing after another, but it is settling down a little bit. The last issue, though, is one I quickly mentioned at the last board meeting, which is a legal matter. I do have in the agenda to go into executive session on that. When you're ready to do so.
Make a motion to go to executive session?
Make that motion.
And second?
And then we'll still vote. All in favor?
Roll call, Dean?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Dean Brady, can you take us into exec? And
This is Susan Wolski, chairperson of the Accelerator Committee for the Orange County IDA. We have just come out of executive session. I would like at this time to make a motion before this Accelerator Board to move forward with the removal of the third tenant in the Warwick Accelerator Building, subject to approval by legal counsel.
you made that motion?
I just made that motion.
Second, Dr. Odock. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, aye.
All right, any opposition, any abstentions? Okay, and that motion passes, and we'll recommend that to the board. All right, if there are no other questions, please let me know if there are any other questions or anything you want to raise about the accelerator. Otherwise, we're prepared to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
All right, thanks very much.